Welcome to my presentation of the Japanese company Nintendo for the subject of international strategy for products and pricing. The first thing is the division of the presentation. First, we will begin with the introduction of the company and some interesting points to comment. Then we will pass to the numerical data and emphasize in the company. Then we will see the different products and prices, but we will focus on two, the Nintendo Switch. It's currently the main console of Nintendo, and Nintendo Wii, the most famous and successful console of the company. Then we will go to see the target market and where it's located. On the opposite side, we will see the competitors, followed by the branding and the different patents that Nintendo owns. We will start, as I said, with the introduction of the company. It is in the video game sector. We could say that its size is large, as it has many employees and works internationally, and its central products are consoles, video games, and other types of products such as accessories for this and merchandising from the diverse games that they have, like Mario Bros, Zelda. Now we are going to see some data. We are going to emphasize first on the company profits. These were in 2019 of 1.201 billion yens. They sold more than 100 million units through the world. This is influenced by the exit of the new games and console in 2017. As I have already said, this company is a large site because they have more than 5,000 workers only in Japan, and they have more around the world, especially in United States. Now we are going to see some data. We are going to emphasize first on the company profits. These were in 2019 of 1.201 billion yens. They sold more than 100 million units through the world. This is influenced by the exit of the new games and console in 2017. As I have already said, this company is a large site because they have more than 5,000 workers only in Japan, and they have more around the world, especially in United States. We will continue with the different Nintendo products, ranging from the video games to the consoles, but many are created by other collaborating companies such as Game Freak and Capcom. So we will focus on the two main consoles of this company, Nintendo Switch and the Nintendo Wii. First, the Nintendo Switch came out 2 years ago, and it's described as the first hybrid console in history, being possible to switch between portability and the console on the table. In 2017, the year that came out, the sales on Japan were 5 million, and in Europe were 10 million. Had more profits in Europe than Japan, as we can see. The Nintendo Wii came out in 2006, and many people describe it as the most famous console in the world, and therefore the company's sales the year of departure were 7 million in Europe and 5 in Japan, and the sales were also more in Europe, as we can see. Nintendo target market is divided into people who are interested in video games, casual gamers, since their games don't stand out of their difficulty, people who can spend their money on the console and the video games, and the Generation Y between the 25 and 35 years. Nintendo will seem to be a company focused on children for its child content, but not. They focus on the evocation of nostalgia of those who grew up with the company's make games. Nintendo is one of the major video games company and its competitors are the Xbox and PlayStation. But what many people do not know, and as the former manager of Nintendo Armory says in America, that's that we compete against minute by minute. The time you spend surfing the internet, watching movies, watching a broadcast of conference, that's the entertainment time that we compete. Genie Films aim. This quote is really interesting because we can see that the time is something that the video games are against because you are spending time watching a movie and not playing a game, and this is something that Nintendo wants to compete in. Nintendo labeled its family-oriented active video game system, the Wii, which is quite distinct from its prior line of traditional game systems such as the original Nintendo 64. Nintendo created a much more compelling product this time around. The branding was also very good and simple, unlike the confusing Wii U. Incidentally, Nintendo recently updated some of the branding. You see this in our retail stores on their corporate sites. I mentioned the Wii U because it's one of the most famous consoles of Nintendo, but because in a negative way, because they sold not an amount of products, because their branding and their marketing was horrible. But with the Nintendo Switch, they have been more evolved and increasing the sales. In the last slide, we can see the different patents and trademarks that Nintendo has, such as Mario, Super Nintendo, Nintendo. They also have different patents. For example, they were the first that the inalambrical connection with the Wii, they were the first that they patent that. And they also have the GameCube, a lot of the Switch, for example. All of the consoles and main products are patent, because the video game sector is really competitive about that. So this is the end for the presentation. I hope it was really curious, and I think that I thought really a really amount of thing that Nintendo does. So thank you very much for your attention.